Okay, taking a look here at Stephen Colson. Um, Again, we're gonna look at the mechanics of three areas: what the back leg is doing, how the back arm is moving to throw the bat head, and the front side. One of the first things I notice about Stephen is he's trying to be almost completely motionless before the pitch is released, and there's not a whole lot of rhythm in his swing in terms of when he's getting loaded. You can see our professionals, and again, Adrian Gonzalez, he starts a little sooner than most guys, but you can see there's definitely some rhythm in what Drew's doing, even though he loads a little later. When you compare that to what Steven's doing, you can tell he's been taught to really kind of have nothing going on until he decides to swing at the ball. In terms of his back leg and his footwork, you can also see that he has no stride at all, going into the ball. Now you can certainly swing without a stride, and you can generate force with your legs without a stride. But you still need to incorporate some rhythm, and you need to understand that the back leg isn't trying to just spin there, but just like in a golf swing, that back leg presses down the line first into the front side before again it's pulled around by the front leg driving against the ground and opening the hips from the front. Again, as we look at this action here. As Adrian drives into that front side, the front leg works on the front hip and opens the hips from the front. So, looking at Steven, he's been taught to be a dead stop hitter with no stride. Now, if you're going to get rid of the stride, you better know what it's for. The purpose of the stride is when you lift your foot, if you look at Adrian there, you load the back side, and then that puts you in a position to unload the back leg laterally into the front side. So the stride has a purpose of helping you, load and unload the back leg. Lifting your foot allows you to load it, and then it allows the pressing laterally allows you to unload it. So you can still do that without lifting your foot. And Steven can stay with this no stride approach, but I would recommend, knowing that I've got to load and then unload this leg sideways and incorporate a little bit of negative rhythm or a backwards movement before the release of the pitch, and then simply driving sideways into the front side with the back leg. If you look here, he kind of sits into this front side. The back leg goes a little bit, but not a whole lot. But he does weight the front leg, which you have to. I mean, that's the way to open the hip. You can't rotate your hips by just spinning your back foot. So he does weight the front leg, and then that front leg, you can see it there. You can see his front leg is working against the ground here to open the hip from the front. But the amount of energy he's getting into the swing is greatly compromised by the fact he's just trying to sit there and unweight the back leg and spin it. And again, one of our indicators, you can see his foot just sits there, spinning. There's no drive. If you look at our hitters, they're driving off of the back side and staying leveraged behind the front side. Again, usually you'll see some slight forward movement, not always, but a lot of time you'll see some forward movement of the back foot as it becomes unweighted before the batter hits the ball, and it's unweighted through contact with the ball. Steven, in his mind, thinks he's powering the swing by how hard he can spin his back leg, which is, of course, causing him to, look how open he is to the pitcher here. Look how square they are. He hasn't imagined trying to throw without getting off your backside, and that's really what we're doing here, is throwing the bat head. So with regard to Steven's back leg, we want to add just a little bit of loading before the swing, some rhythmic loading before the pitcher lets go of the ball, and then focus on using that back leg to press sideways into the front side, and quit trying to just stay on the back foot and spin it. All right, next we'll look at the back arm and how it moves to throw the bat head. As you look at Steven here, what we want to see, if you look at Adrian Gonzalez here, we want to see that elbow load by lifting and then unload, begin the unload as it slots to the ball there. We don't want to see the hitter load the back arm by reaching back and straightening the elbow. Okay, and Steven doesn't do that. He keeps the elbow bent, which is what we want. We want that elbow to stay bent through the loading and slotting phase. Now, as you look at Steven, there's not a whole lot of loading action going on. In other words, the elbow doesn't lift much. If you look at our professionals, you can see that elbow work up as they load. The elbow stays bent as the bone turns into the ball here. So that's good that Steven isn't straightening out the back arm. All we need to really do in terms of the back elbow movement is maybe add just a little bit of rhythmic loading, with the back leg as he kind of loads up before that elbow slots into the ball. Okay, everybody slots into the ball, as does Steven. Now, what we do see is that palm, that hand dropping off immediately. Bat is then, kind of trapped back here behind him. So he's created a heavier bat by flattening it out. The bat is lightest in this position, stacked over the hands. He's created a heavy bat, and he's also now trapped the barrel behind him for a longer swing. So he's got a longer swing with a heavier bat. What we want to see is that top hand stay facing the pitcher through the loading and slotting phase, and that top hand should still be slightly back of the back shoulder as that elbow slots in. You can see the difference. His palm is facing straight up to the sky versus what Adrian's doing with his palm facing out towards the pitcher, as is Drew's. So what we've got to be able to do very simply with Steven is we've got to learn to lift and slot that elbow without the hand really changing place or position. We still want it in the same place, just back of the shoulder with the positioning of the top hand facing the pitcher. Okay, and then from there we're going to learn to, if you look at Adrian, we're going to learn to throw the bat head, throw that top hand through the ball, and then get over the top of that top hand, whipping over just after contact, the same as you would do in a good sidearm throwing motion, as that top hand would launch from the shoulder through the ball. Okay, so we've got to learn, basically with Steven, we've got to learn to be able to shift weight against the front side, slot the elbow, and keep top hand in the same place.